Hi there. We are here to talk a little bit about technology, especially about how technology is impacting teens. One of the more encouraging trends that we've seen lately is that some teens are actually stepping away from kind of the screens that they use and the
Making
technology
the choice
that they
themselves,
use.
yeah.
And that is sort of suggested in a best-selling book that we just reviewed.
Yes, indeed.
So tell me about the book, Mr. Hoos.
Oh, we're going to start there.
Yeah, we're going to
Okay,
start
cool.
right with the book.
Yeah. There's been a lot of backlash about smartphones and social media in the social media that we continue to read. But there hasn't been a lot that's aimed directly at kids. For example, last year we talked about Jonathan Haidt's book, Anxious Generation.
Yes.
You remember that?
Yeah.
And it's essentially a book aimed at parents saying that kids who are caught up in their smartphones all the time and social media, and in terms of just the way parents are currently parenting these days, all of that has, in a sense, reprogrammed kids and actually hurt them, made them less productive, less capable individuals. And that was the book, Anxious Generation. Well, he's the same guy who was one of the authors for this book called The Amazing Generation. And this one is aimed squarely at kids, not parents. So parents, don't worry about buying this for yourself. But you can buy it for your kids because it, first of all, it sort of structures itself with an overarching graphic novel story that is aimed at young people. And in this graphic novel story, the young people themselves are dealing with their normal lives and their smartphone use, and they're going to school, and some people are always on their phone. And as we see the story unfold, there's a group that start deciding, you know what? There are so many things we can do in our lives and with our time outside of a smartphone. And we need to start thinking about using smartphones for the tools they are, not letting them use us. And so this book is really it's 3 parts. It talks a little bit about the rise of the smartphone and social media, and how the smartphone and social media, the wizards behind the smartphone, are essentially manipulating us. How it may have all started out as this wonder tools, things that will make your life better and give you freedom and fun. But but basically the people behind it all eventually said, well, wait a minute, we can make a little bit of cash here. And so they started shaping everything and the algorithms. And the book talks about how that happens.
That's really interesting. And it really actually funnels into what's going on in the world today, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
We are right in the middle of a huge lawsuit that
When we say we mean the world.
yeah,
Like,
not us, not
no,
plugged in.
yeah.
But talk a little bit about, because you've been sort of following this.
Kind of been
this
following
case,
it, yeah.
But it really filters into exactly what you were talking about, how the algorithms and how the darker side of social media is influencing our kids, right?
Yeah, and so what's happening is so many different entities. You've got state attorneys general, you have school districts, you have individual people. They're all filing lawsuits against social media companies. The top 4 being TikTok, YouTube, Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram, and Snapchat. So you've got these 4 big, social media giants. They're all getting sued by all these things. And so the court system has consolidated a lot of those cases into one trial that, multiple trials, but one of them is happening right now, and it's over 1,600 plaintiffs just in this one case.
goodness.
So whatever the outcome of this is, will actually determine how they proceed with the rest of the 1,599 cases. So
and part of it is that there's so much evidence. There are so many cases or individuals whose lives have been damaged, some irreparably, by smartphones and social media.
That's actually what this trial is all about, is that there is evidence, but there's also not evidence. There's correlation, but that doesn't necessarily equal causation. Yes, exactly. And that's kind of the issue right now. So the evidence that is being brought forward in this case, and what makes it so the thing that makes it the most unique is that this is actually the first time that it's going to a jury. It will not be decided, so it will be decided by a jury, not by a judge in this case. And so that is the thing that makes this so unique. But on top of that, so the evidence that they're bringing forward, it's like unsealed documents from these companies and unrevealed testimonies from the users of these social media platforms. And so basically
documents from the companies that essentially state that they know or they knew
it's that
the negative effects.
Yeah, well, not just that they knew the negative effects, that they prioritized profits over safety.
Right.
That is the big issue that they did. And the social media companies have they've long been protected by the Communications Decency Act, which says it protects internet speech, and it says that platforms that host user-generated content are not liable for the content posted on those platforms. So they've always said, look, if you're going to be mad at somebody, be mad at that third party that posted, the content about weight loss or eating disorders or suicide or insert your grievance. They've always said you need to go after them, not us. It's not our problem. The problem, though, it is their problem because they're the ones who created the algorithms. Yeah. And the algorithms are the things that continue to feed you that content. Regardless of who posted it, they continue to feed you that content.
Well, and that's one of the reasons why Australia has obviously cut off social media completely for
teenagers.
Kids, right? Yeah. So that was a big step, and it was partially because of this overarching issue, right? And there's now a few other countries that are considering doing the same.
France has fast-tracked their social media ban for teenagers. India is also looking at it, and a bunch of other European countries. And to be perfectly frank, I think it's probably easier. Like, people are like, well, why can't the United States do that? Think about it this way. The two countries that predominantly benefit from social media are the United States and China, because those are the two countries that own all of these social media companies. Right. There's an economic value to keeping these companies open.
That's a really good point.
Australia, India, the European Union, they don't benefit economically from it. Like, they have individuals, they have influencers and companies that maybe benefit a little bit, but they don't own the company. Their country's not getting any kickbacks from this.
And let's face facts. We talk about governments legislating some sort of rules that are going to rein in the social media companies. But the fact is that it's very difficult for governments to do that without just messing up everything.
Sure.
Because that's essentially what governments are great at, really messing the whole thing up. And so it's predominantly going to get worse. Let's face it. If we're just waiting for governments to change everything and come up with the perfect rules, it's not going to happen. But that's getting back to this book. That was the great thing about what Jonathan Haidt and Catherine Price are trying to do with this book, is to inspire kids. In other words, make the change on the inside. Inspire kids to become rebels who stand up and say, you know what, I've got a life, and I need to figure out how I'm going to live that life. Yeah. And if all this stuff is stealing away from my life, then maybe I can do without it.
Yeah.
I think that what happens is, just to kind of put those two thoughts together, is that I think far too often we look at the government to say, well, why aren't you fixing this? This is a horrible, horrible issue. Why are you not fixing it? The fact of the matter is there's so much legalese involved. And as I said, the economic stuff and everything, that it's like, well, it's easier said than done. And I'll be very frank. There are always concerns about violations of First Amendment rights, because social media, as much as we may want to deny it, it is where a lot of people practice the freedom of speech and expression. So, that can be very difficult to navigate just on its own. But I'm not going to get into the details there because I'm not a lawyer, and I'm not going to try to defend it either which way. The fact of the matter is, we can sit around waiting for the government to fix it, or as that book, as
The Amazing Generation.
as Jonathan Haidt's and Catherine Price's book says, we can take it upon ourselves to make these changes in our lives right now. There's absolutely nothing stopping us as the users from stopping the usage. And again, it kind of...
Social media won't like it.
Oh, no. Well,
But tough.
And here's the thing. Like, a lot of people are comparing these upcoming trials and ongoing trials to the big tobacco trials of the 1990s, where it was like, you know, you guys know this, and anybody who knows their history knows this, like, there was a time where people were like, smoking is great for you.
Yeah.
It is not. And it wasn't until like the 90s that they finally put a big old stamp that was like, this product might cause cancer if you use it.
There was an era where literally everyone smoked.
Even doctors, you know, who should have known better, didn't know better, you know? And so I think that that's what we're dealing with right now, is that we should know better, but we don't. And we want this big stamp on social media that says using this product may cause mental health problems.
Right.
You know, and granted, I think, and you know, there's the argument that, well, even if it said that, people would still use it. Well, you're right. Even though tobacco products have a big stamp that says it might cause cancer, people still use them. Even, you know, so we're not saying it's an end-all, be-all fix.
It's still a choice, right? But it's an informed choice.
It's an informed choice. And when you have if every time you opened up Facebook, there was a warning that said, warning, using this product may cause mental health harms. People, if you saw it every time you opened up the app, you might sit there eventually and be like, why am I doing this?
Well, and one of the things is, as we talk about these issues, it is, you're absolutely right. I think that to have the information out there, to allow some rules in place that can better inform people, that's so critical, right?
Yeah.
But I love what both of you have said. The onus is really on the kids and the
user.
teens. And it really is on the parents. And for me, this goes back again and again to what we talk about at Plugged In, where, yeah, you can have all the tracking software you want. You can have all the lockdowns that society can have on the entertainment technology that we use. Ultimately, it comes down to what you as a parent and what you as a family decide to do.
Yeah.
And that's the onus.
Discernment.
That needs to be.
It's that key of discernment again,
Yeah.
where the individual is discerning what is good and what's bad.
Well, and I think that when it comes right down to it, I would much rather trust parents to make decisions for their own kids and to bring kids, you know, as age appropriate as they can into the process. I would much rather have them make those critical decisions than outside organizations that may not know.
I think that there's a lot of merit to that because, you know, I think it's kind of a nuanced process because when your child is young, you control pretty much everything about their lives. You control what they eat, you control what they drink, when they go to bed. And I say all this, you know.
Occasionally.
I realize,
As I read with my book
that
with the
kids,
flashlight.
I realize that kids will not go to, sometimes kids are having tantrums and they won't eat their peas, you know. Sometimes that's what you're dealing with as a parent. I get that. That's not what I mean. What I mean is that to a certain degree, you have control over what your child is watching and how often they're watching it. You have control over whether or not your child has a smartphone. And obviously, as they get older and they gain more autonomy, and yeah, as they get older, there's a chance that maybe they'll go and buy a smartphone behind your back and pay for it themselves with their babysitting money or whatever. You know, there's a chance that a friend will give them access to things that you haven't approved. The same is true with, you know, how much sugar your kid is eating. Like, you know, if you give your kid $5 and you're like, this is for your lunch, and they're going to go to school and they're going to spend it on whatever they want. They might buy, you know, 5 soda pops instead of, you know, some carrots and celery sticks. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What it all comes down to is that as the parent, when they're younger, you have some control. As they get older, you have to teach them what they need to know.
And bring them into the conversation.
Yes.
Bingo. That's where this book is
Exactly.
talking about. Let the kids learn and figure out what this is all about. Well,
With your
I tell you-
guidance,
I
but-
tell you- yeah, exactly. I tell you, there's one thing in here I wanted to read something really quickly.
Yeah.
That I found very interesting, and I think a lot of kids will find very compelling when it comes to their smartphone use. It's a page that was talking about screen time calculator that you can use to freak people out. And it just basically quickly sums up how much time you use when you're on your phone. And for example, if you spend 1 hour per day on your phone, that equals, in the course of a year, 15 full days. And of course, it grows from there all the way up to 10 hours per day would be the equivalent at the end of a year of spending 5 months on the phone. I mean, think about that. And when you consider that teens these days, studies have shown they spend an average of between 5 and 8.5 hours per day.
So it's like, what, 3 months?
Well, just the low end, 5 of that, 5 would be 2.5 months.
Yeah.
So what could you get done? What could you accomplish if you had an extra 2.5 months
no.
instead
Every
of
year.
spending it on your phone looking at YouTube clips and Instagram pictures? you
No,
know?
I totally agree with that. I think that one of the things that I was just talking with somebody about this yesterday about, we have lost the ability to be bored. And I think that boredom can be a huge catalyst for creativity, for learning, for adventure, because it forces you to go out. And when every time we or our kids are bored, they turn to a screen, that truncates what they can learn and how they can grow.
Well, it also it also programs us to, in a way, be lazy. Because think about it. When you're facing a difficult task, playing guitar, learning piano, whatever, it's a lot easier to say, man, that just takes so much time, and it's
so much work.
It's so hard as compared to,
Yep.
Well, and I just want to go back to what you just said, the we of it. It's not just the kids.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I am very against putting any of this on the kids. Maybe not any of this, but I am against putting the burden of this on the kids. This book obviously is empowering kids to take control of their phone habits and their screen time habits. But I think a lot of this falls on the parents.
Right,
Yeah.
and I think that as we bring this conversation to a close, I would be remiss if we did not mention a couple of tools that PluggedIn can provide to help you out with some of these difficult conversations, to help your kids, and to help you.
Starting with the tech guide?
Let's start with the tech guide, which Emily actually edited every single word. We all contributed to it. It is 125 pages of advice on how to deal with some of these conversations.
Yeah.
What screen time, what social media, what technology does in our lives, and how we can combat it, and how we can have, most importantly, probably have those difficult conversations with our
Right.
kids. Just to close the loop on the tech guide, be sure to check out the link in the description, and you can go right to the tech guide from there. Thank you guys so much. This has been a fun conversation. Thank you for joining us, and be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. Let us know what sort of videos you would like us to do, because obviously we have a fun time doing them. So thanks so much. Really appreciate it. Bye.
Bye.